Okay guys, so let's get started making the housing for our drawer. So for this step, you're going to need 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 black cardstock. You're going to need 3/8 tape. You're going to need 1/4 inch tape, and you're going to need the black masking tape. It's Scotch black masking tape. You're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 7 by 7, and these are the medium weight. And you're going to need 2 that measure 7 by 2. All right, the first step we're going to do is attach our pieces, and we're going to go the landscape way attaching them. So we're going to attach them on the 8.5 inch side. And just burnish that down, take it off, line it up, and then just press that down. I'm just going to give it a burnish with my bone folder. Alright, so these pieces are going to go on here like this. So we're going to have a 2-inch piece, and then the 7-inch, and then another 2-inch, and then the 7-inch. So it doesn't really matter if you go 7-2-7-2 or 2-7-2-7. It's up to you. It doesn't really make much of a difference. I'm going to use my Fabric Tac glue to attach them. Alright, so that's my first one, and I'm just gonna place it right there. Trying to leave an equal amount on the sides, and then this side over here. And then I'm gonna go in with my first 7 by 7 piece. Just get the glue really nice and even. And then I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch gap between my pieces. And I'm going to say something here. When you're wrapping a mini album, and like say here, if it was like, you know, a 1/16 of an inch shorter than this piece, you could get away with it. But with the housing for the drawer, it's super important that everything is really nice and square, because that drawer is kind of finicky and it might not fit properly if everything isn't the size it's supposed to be. So be just careful when you're cutting your chipboard to make sure that you're leaving yourself perfect squares and perfect rectangles. Alright, so I'm leaving another 1/8 of an inch there. And now I'm going to do this final piece here. Alright, and again, we're just going to leave that 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm just going to flip it over. Just take my bone folder, go all over the back of it, bring it back over, and now I'm going to cut off a little bit of this side right here, leaving again about 3/4 of an inch, just like that. All right, and now I'm going to start folding in all the way around, folding my cardstock up, and just train it a bit, go back and forth first before you try to fold it down. It just helps you not to crack your cardstock. And then just take your bone folder and burnish that down nicely. Alright, so we've got them all folded around. So now we're going to take our scissors and just cut up, but not all the way to the corner there. And then just come in on this side, just like so. And we'll do that all the way around. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover our seams with the black masking tape. And we're gonna do that step before we wrap it, just because it looks neater than it being on top of our cardstock. I just think it gives it a nicer look. And if any comes over the edge, it also wraps in with the cardstock because it's so thin, it's not going to leave a bump or anything. So it just gives it a neater overall look. We are also going to put it on both of these edges, and you can overlap it just a tiny bit off the side, because like I said, when it wraps in, you're not going to see it if it's overlapped at all, but we just want to make sure that our raw edges are covered once we attach our housing from both sides. So then we'll just do the same thing here. You can overlap it just a touch. Like so. And then we can just go in and press it down along those sides there. And now we're gonna put tape on our two long sides and the flaps, so the two long sides of the chipboard and the two long flaps. And now we can just burnish our tape on, and then we'll wrap in the two long sides. So just remove the backing from both of those and then bring it down. And try to make sure you get your corners really nice and tight, because that is super important for the finished look. We'll do this other side here. Right, and then just burnish it all down really nicely. And now we're gonna go with our bone folder and just kind of mark where our little pieces meet. And then just gently fold it in. Bring that into the fold a little bit better there. And then just gently bring it in and over. And then you have to decide which piece you want to go on the outside and which piece you want to go on the inside. I think I'm gonna go like this. So whichever piece you decide, I'm going to put my tape here on the outside of our flap. So I'm putting it on the outside of the flap. And I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 strips. All right, and then I'm gonna add on the inside of this flap. So you have to add tape on the outside of one of them and on the inside of one of them. And I know they're overlapping here, but that's not gonna matter once I take the backings off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is do my inside flap, the one that's gonna go and meet up with this side over here. So I'm gonna remove both of the backings, and then I'm gonna take my Fabri-Tac and I'm going to put it all over this tape here, just so that it gives me a little bit of time to make sure everything is squared up really nicely so that my score tape doesn't immediately grip. And now I'm just going to take this flap and meet it to the inside of this here. And since I added that glue, it gives me a minute or a second to make sure everything is squared up really nicely. Just like that. And I'm just going to take my bone folder and go down into there and press it on nicely. Take your time with this step because it is very important, because your drawer has to fit in here nicely. And I'm not covering the inside of my enclosure in here because I want as much room for my drawer to slide in and out as possible. But you can go ahead and do yours on the inside if you feel like you have enough room to do that. No one's going to see the inside of it, so it does not really bother me. But if you are going to cover it, do it before you do this step. Alright, and now we can just fold that top flap over after you remove the backings. Alright, and then there's our little enclosure done. Okay, so let's work on our drawer. So for the drawer, you're going to need 4 pieces of chipboard that measure 1 7/8 by 6 7/8, and you're going to need one that measures 6 7/8 by 6 7/8, and they're going to go onto a 12 by 12 piece of black cardstock, just like this. And we're going to leave our 1/8 of an inch room all the way on all of them. So we're going to start by gluing down the center one first, and then we are going to center all the other ones around that one. Okay. Now you can flip it over and give it all a really nice burnish, like so. And now you can go ahead and fold in all the way around. All right, so we've got them all folded in now. So the next step we're gonna do, we are going to cut from this corner down to where our 3 pieces of chipboard intersect there. So you're gonna take and cut down just to where they meet each other down here. So just to right there. And then you're going to, on both sides, cut down, and you're gonna leave yourself about 1/2 inch or so to a 1/2 inch or so flap. And then here you're gonna angle in. Remember not to go all the way to your chipboard, and angle in this side. And then we'll do this side here. Just angle it in, don't go all the way to the chipboard. So this is exactly what all 4 of your corners should look like. And then you're just going to fold these in and fold this in like so. And we're gonna do that all the way around. So now we're to this stage. So now what we need to do is go around and attach tape to all of these, the 4 long flaps all the way around. Attach tape and fold them down so that they're attached down to the drawer. Okay, so we've got those all down now. So we can give them a good burnish. And now we're going to cover all of our little spaces where the chipboard meets with the black masking tape. Alright, so we've got that all down now, so you can give that a good burnish down. So now, let's fold these up. So now what's going to happen is one of our flaps is going to fold towards the inside and it's going to attach there, like so, in here. And the other one's going to fold to the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a strip of black masking on two of my sides. So I'm going to put it here and here and here and here. So that way when it's folded in, because this hinge is going to cover this side, but then this side here is still going to be left raw. So when it's folded in, that's going to be covered. I've gone and I've covered all these edges with the black masking, and I've also lifted it up just a little bit and angled in kind of up to the corner just to make it look a little bit neater when it's all covered with the paper. This is not an absolutely necessary step, I just think it looks better. So on the outside of this, since it's the one that we've covered it with the tape here, and on the inside of this one, because this is the one that's going to wrap on the outside of the drawer, like that. So inside, outside, and then you're going to go ahead and remove the backing from your inside one first, and you're going to bring it in, and you're going to meet it really nice and square to that corner there, just like that. And then you can take your bone folder and press it down, and then you're going to take your other one that the tape is on the inside of the hinge and remove the backing, and then just wrap it around really nice and make sure it stays really nice and tight. And then you can just burnish that one down as well. You can see we have the inside of our drawer covered and the outside is nice and neat on that corner. So we're just going to go and do that on all four sides. So now the drawer is done. It's the moment of truth. Let's see if it fits into our enclosure, and it does. It fits right in there beautifully, but now we have to build our little drawer front. So we'll just take that out. So for the drawer front, you need a piece of black cardstock that measures 4 by 9.5, and you're going to need one that measures 2 1/8 by 7 1/4. So the first thing we need to do is attach our drawer front down. And I'm just using score tape because the drawer front is going to be getting pulled and yanked and all that fun stuff. So I just want to make it as strong as possible. So we're just attaching it. And then you're just going to center it into this piece of our black cardstock, and then we're just gonna fold over really nicely all the way around. Like so. Then we can get our bone folder and just burnish those down nicely. Just like so. And then we will cut our corners there. Like so, again, making sure we do not go all the way to that chipboard. Always a super important step. Alright, so now we can attach our score tape along the edges. Like so. Alright, now we'll do our long sides first. So just remove the backing. And then just fold down. Same thing with this side. Like so. And then one of our short sides, and then the other short side. And then this piece is just to cover the inside here. So since my score tape is here, I'm just gonna use it, but this would be a good time for glue. Just 3 pieces should do, as long as you're going end to end. I should buy shares in score tape with how much of it I use. Alright, now we're going to attach it down, just centering it onto that back there. And then you can take your bone folder and burnish it on there. So now we can attach it to the front, and at this point you can decide which side of your drawer you like best. I don't think I really have a preference. It pretty much seems the same all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of my sides, and I'm going to put score tape all over it. And here I would not use glue. A combination of glue and score tape is what I'm going to use, so that I can make sure that it's going to be strong, but I'll still be able to move it around to get it centered on there. My glue is on there. So now I'm going to take my little drawer front, and I'm going to place it on with the front facing down, and I'm going to take my drawer and I'm going to put it right on top of it and get it as centered as possible onto that drawer front, just like so. Make sure it's even all the way around. You should have about 1/4 inch of space all the way around, and I'm centering it right on there. As you can see, I'm not putting the drawer all the way to the bottom. I'm centering it right onto that piece. So that looks pretty good. So let's let that dry for a second. Now we're going to bring back in our housing that we have at the bottom. And we are going to put little feet onto this housing. And these feet are actually the things that you buy from a hardware store once you've made a screw hole. They're the little plug that goes in to cover that screw hole, but they're actually a really fantastic foot as well for things like this. I've used it quite a bit in the past, and I'm just going to use some glue dots to attach it. Now these are smaller glue dots, so I'm actually going to use 3 glue dots per foot, and I'm just going to attach them about right there, about 3/4 of an inch in from all the corners. And this is just going to kind of, it's decorative, but it also serves the purpose of bringing the drawer enclosure up a little bit so that our drawer front isn't dragging on the ground. So we're just, if you have larger glue dots, or you can even use hot glue if you prefer to, I just find these hold just fine with just the glue dots, because there's always pressure on it because it's got the weight of the drawer and the album on it. So you could certainly use a different kind of glue if you wished, but I don't feel a need to. All right, so now we've got our little legs on, and then that'll just kind of stand. All right, so I've got a piece of the pattern paper from the collection here. It's the pink striped one, and it measures 1 7/8 by 6 7/8. And we are going to attach it right in the middle there. And I need to do this step before I can attach my the drawer handle. So I'm just getting my Fabri-Tac all over the back of it. And I'm going to attach it right there. And if this is a directional paper, obviously, if you are using a directional paper, be careful of which way you're going. All right, so now we have it nice and centered. So here I have my little drawer pull that I'm going to use. I don't know if this is actually a drawer pull, but I'm going to use it as such. So I'm going to attach it in the middle of the front of my drawer. Then I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm going to place it where I want it. So that looks pretty good to me. It actually helps to have the stripes on there. All right, so that's pretty much where I want it. So now that I have it lined where I want it, I'm gonna make marks with my pencil. And then I'm going to take a pokey tool and I'm just going to poke through there. Now we're going through 2 layers of medium weight chipboard here, plus our cardstock, plus our pattern paper, so it might take a second to get through it all. Take your time. All right. So we are through there now. Now we can take our little drawer pull, and I've got some little brads here. And we are just going to put them through and then flatten them out on the back. And now we are going to go on to making our album, but we're going to do that in part 2. So this is the end of part 1. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you for part 2 for the actual album. Remember, if you haven't yet, please click subscribe and hit the like button.